that's why 24K Golden is so successful, is because he brands his face and himself on the platform. So when people hear his music, they have a reference point of who he is and what he represents.
Super excited for today. This is The Noise Between. My name is Alex. I'm here with John. Our guest today is amazing. He's a marketing genius, big time hustler. He's able to spot and create the next big artist. I'm of course talking about Sam Levine. How are you doing today?
Good, man. That was a lot of high praise coming for someone who I literally just got out of bed like 20 minutes ago. So like it's noon. That's a lot, bro. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So let's just get right into it. You're a very interesting guy, orchestrating a lot of projects, representing several artists. How would you describe your job?
Extraordinarily stressful. It's a very difficult balancing act between like, you know, doing a great job on the business side and understanding the technical knowledge you need, but also being able to like work with all the new people you're meeting and know who's going to work well with which artist you're representing with them at the time. And I'll say artist, or sometimes maybe even client, a lot, but it's like those dudes are really like my brothers, you know. That's, I think, one of the most important things about the management side of things is that, like, I always tell people, like, if Tom the mailman tomorrow said he wanted to go be like a sheep farmer in Finland, like I would be in Finland helping him build a farm, you know what I'm saying? So it's like that's kind of like the core difficulty is like taking, like, basically it's just like navigating this whole arena of the music industry with all these people that you really, really, really care about. So it's like you're always looking out for their best interest, and you're always trying to find like the best move for them. And so it's just it's honestly a lot of pressure, because you know you don't know what's up all the time, and you got this like this responsibility to these people who trust you. So it's a lot sometimes.
Yeah. Would you say you're a manager, or like what would you classify yourself as? Because I see you're like, I think you own like 3 businesses, it looks like.
Well, I'm like, well, no. So first of all, Contraband, that agency is owned. I actually work for my good friend Ja'Cory, and my friend Sean. They started their agency, so that's just something that I'm just like pretty heavily involved in. I was lucky to get taken on to that early, so I could make a big contribution there. But yeah, I started out with this promotion called Blue Summer that is still a thing, but COVID, you know. And then yeah, I run my management company, which is Don't Be Greedy, and that's like entirely mine.
Okay.
How old were you when you like knew that like this is what I want to do, this is what I want to get into?
To be honest with you, bro, like, so the long answer is that I wanted to work in music somehow, you know, and I didn't know what that avenue was. And so really, bro, like it was after I graduated from college, and then I was at home not doing shit. I didn't want to work in like a regular job or whatever. I would have gone crazy. And I was like, all right, well, I need to at least have stability. So maybe if I work at like a record label, it'll have like that corporate stability, but like it'll at least be cool. And so I just basically tried to get my way into the music industry any way I could. Wound up getting an internship at Patchwork Studios in Atlanta. I moved up from Orlando on like 2 days notice without anywhere to stay, whatever. And then just got into it, just started working really hard on everything, and then got into the marketing, got into the management, just because it was like, it just kind of came up from me working hard in one direction. And it just sort of came about, and like, you know, it just made a lot of sense too. Like the management side of things especially just makes a lot of sense for me. Something I'm just like naturally good at, I guess. So that was cool.
Yeah.
Did you ever make music? Were you on SoundCloud at any point or anything?
I think that the joke is that every manager wanted to be a rapper at some point, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, but no one will ever hear any of that.
All right. So what are you doing like day to day? Are you looking for new talent? New, you're just like good with the people you have right now. Or...
Yeah, so that's what I say when I mean it's like those guys are like my brothers. It's like, I don't mean that in like a corny way. I mean that in the way of like, like I said, I'm in this for them. Like I'm in this to help those particular 3 guys achieve what they want to achieve with their life. Like it isn't really to say like Sam Levine wants to build up a management company. It's to say like I want to help those guys be great, you know. So and I do actually, I'm pretty lucky. I do get a lot of people who hit me up asking like for me to manage them and whatnot, which is awesome. But that's just not like, that's not why I'm in this. You know, it's not to build this big company. It's to do right by these guys and to do something great with them. And then, you know, and look, in 10 years, if all 3 of them are as big as I think they can be, and like their machines are just kind of moving and they have their own teams, and then someone else comes along who I think is dope, like maybe, you know what I'm saying? But like, it's not like the goal, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's dope. Yeah, so I saw you were working on the 24K Ian song Mood.
Yeah, so Contraband is doing that. Yeah, where we did do that. We had our hand in that.
Crazy. It's like, yeah, as we were talking about, it's like, is it 5 on Billboard, you said, right now?
I think it's number 1.
Is it 1 now? That's, yeah, I think that's crazy.
It's a lot. I just got an email because I didn't realize how instrumental we'd been in that particular campaign, because that's more the TikTok side of things, and I'm more on like the programmatic, which is just like regular advertising side of things. But yeah, so basically we I guess we got it up to about like 150,000 videos or so on TikTok, and then the label kind of took it from there, from what I understand. And we kind of ran off this like this remix video that happened, and then just like pushed all the data, all the budget over there or whatever, and just kind of helped take that off. We've done more stuff with 24K Golden too. We were helpful. We helped out with the City of Angels campaign that he did, and then we do a lot of dope shit at Contraband, man. Like we do a lot of really, really cool stuff. We work with some really great clients, so that's always exciting too.
Yeah, that sounds crazy. Are you working with like the label, or are you working with 24K specifically?
That's not really my side of things, like I said. So that's like actually Sean, one of the founders, he's like the lead on 24K in them. So I don't really know. You know?
Yeah, and then Tom the Mailman just had a video with Overcast. Was that like all you like hitting up Overcast, or how'd that work?
Bro, that's the funny thing, man. People give me so much credit for stuff that just happens. Like Overcast is dope, man. They're really awesome. But that's actually something that Sean, which is Tom's real name, had going already. And I think that they kind of just, dude, they just like him. They like what he's doing. They're super dope guys. Like they're just really, really, really awesome dudes. And so we got the opportunity to work with them, which is kind of fantastic. So that's really cool. Yeah, those dudes are doing like crazy stuff. They're gonna be like huge. Yeah.
It's crazy like how much like TikTok is changed, like honestly this is the industry, because now like you can literally, if your song gets like popular on TikTok now, like it helps you so much, just like your brand, everything. Like it's insane.
Yeah, like TikTok is interesting because the sounds go viral, not anything else, and so it's like by nature a really, really, really good space for music to be marketed. And it's interesting because getting a TikTok like viral moment is almost guaranteed to blow up a song on streaming services, but it also doesn't provide a lot of like those foundational brand elements that are so important for an artist's trajectory and career. Because that's why 24K Golden is so successful, is because he brands his face and himself on the platform. So when people hear his music, they have a reference point of who he is and what he represents. But with other sounds that just go crazy, you might stream it and it might have the traction and be good enough to get you over to their Instagram page or whatever. But mostly it's just going to be the song, and people don't have that association. And that's the most important part of brand building, I think. It's like Tyler the Creator would be nothing without his persona, who he is, what he does, you know. Same with even everybody from Andre 3000 to Taylor Swift. Like that kind of stuff is super important. And that's where TikTok, it's like a lot of people mess up when they're running TikTok campaigns, or they're trying to go on TikTok, because they don't think about tying their personal brand back into the sound that's going viral.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So, it looks like most of the artists you represent, like Tom and uh, Taj Keaton, they look independent. Are they independent?
Yeah, Six Dogs is as well. So all three of us,
Oh,
all three
really?
of the guys are totally independent. Yeah,
That's
it's not a
wild.
secret, but most people just don't realize.
Yeah. Is that you being like the label? Is that their decision?
It's their decision, man. I mean, that's one thing too. Is like, I mean, my whole job is just to do like to take what they want to do and to facilitate it. Like I said, if Tom tomorrow is like, I want to be a sheep farmer, it's all right. We're going to Finland. Like, you know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, they're all independent, and I think part of it is like it's because of what makes sense now. You know, it's like it doesn't make sense to give up your masters. It doesn't make sense to partner with a major label in most cases. I mean, I have had a lot of conversations with some really great people at majors, and I haven't really heard any convincing reasons on why you should sign. A lot of people say something about like radio. Radio doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You should never, ever, ever spend any money on radio, ever, no matter what. I don't care if you're the weekend, you should not be spending money on the radio because you can always get more value from digital marketing than you can on radio. Like 100% of the time, every single time, you'll get more value out of digital. And so, you know, I like I haven't been convinced yet by any major. And then it's like they have the money, which is cool, but like you know, all right, like what else you got? So they have the teams, but then the teams are outsourced. There's distributors, there's label services companies, there's graphic design companies, there's consultants, there's all kinds of people that you can just, there's marketing companies like Contrabrand. We get hired by major labels, you know, so like why would I go to a major label to do some other stuff, you know? So it's interesting.
So on the topic of like independent artists, I think it was like a few weeks ago, I was watching this interview between it was like Chance the Rapper, Joe Budden, I think DJ Academics was in it, and they were Joe Budden was kind of butting heads with Chance, and they were on this whole argument about like truly independent artists, and like he was saying that Chance misleads people with saying not to sign. Like, so what would you kind of categorize as a true independent artist and like what they're doing? So
That's a really good question. I think that a lot of people assume independent means you don't have any financial backing or you don't have any team, which is stupid. Like you can't do anything without money and partners, right? But independent to me means that you own your own business. You know, if you own your masters, you own your supply chain, you own your product, whatever it is, right? And if you are in control of who's licensing what on your side of things, if you understand your publishing rights, which I still don't all the way, you know, is confusing. But if you understand publishing, if you understand ways that you can access the money that you're owed legally, then you are independent, you know. And Chance gets a lot of flack because he engineered a partnership with Apple Music that gave him a couple $1 million. What was he supposed to say? No. You know, where is he supposed to get the $2 million from? You know, and so Joe Biden's just being an old head.
Yeah, really, yeah, that's right.
You know, but no, I think independent means that as long as you just have your creative control and you're the owner, not the CEO. Like I'm the CEO of the businesses. They're the owners of the business. You know what I'm saying? They just trust me to execute different shit throughout the day. But that's it. You want to be the owner of your business. So that's what independence means to me. Like Russ still has that thing going with Columbia, I believe. And like he is still, I would consider him independent because he leveraged that. Like he utilized his leverage to get to a point where now he can use the label system and the label infrastructure to his will, as opposed to like a lot of people, man. Like a lot of people don't realize how much these artists don't make when they get signed. Like if I told you that I had a $500,000, I could say, all right, I'll sign you, Jonathan, for $1 million tomorrow. And you'd be like, oh, hell yeah. And I'd be like, all right, well, let's break that down. So you're going to get like a $200,000 marketing fund that's invoiced to the company, you know, and that's not taxed or whatever. So then we're also going to give you $300,000 advance. The other $500,000, that's on an option. So you're not even getting that now. That's just if you do good and we decide that we want to extend the contract, we do it. If you don't want to extend the contract and you do good, you want to renegotiate, we still re-sign you on this option. So either way, so now you got $300,000, right? Since you're a new artist, you don't have anything out, whatever, you probably got assigned a manager by the label. So they just take 20% of gross. So now you're out to $240,000. All right. They're going to charge you a distribution fee to distribute through their own. So that's another 10% on all your royalties later. let's talk about that later. But you're at 240,000 right now, just off your advance. Then you're gonna have to pay your lawyer 5%. So that's 5% of 300,000 is what is that? Like that's $15,000. So now you're at like $225,000 out of your. Now you're gonna get taxed. So now you got 35% out of $300,000, which is another $95,000. So now you out of your $300,000 you have $100,000 or so dollars
from $1 million contract.
Yeah, but wait. You're not done
You
yet.
have to pay it back, don't you?
Well, yeah. So you're not even done yet. You got to pay for your recording costs because this is your A&R fund. That's how it works. So your A&R fund and your advance, you got to take recording costs out of that. So now you maybe spend $30,000 making the album on like producer fees like that. Now you got $70,000 out of your $300,000 all told. And I might have fucked some of those numbers up, but I don't think I did. So that's like now you got 70K, and now you're on this deal for maybe it's the 2 albums, and then they can exercise their option later. So now you're on a 2-album deal, which is going to be like at least like 18 months, and you got $70,000 for 18 months, and now you got to go travel, you got to do all this other shit. So you really did not get paid very much.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
And then like he said, so you owe it back. So you probably got a 15% royalty rate, which means, and you took out $500,000, and so that means that you only recoup your money at 15%. So to simplify it, let's say it's 20%, which only like someone like Lady Gaga gets, right? Under a traditional label, 20% is a lot. So say you get 20%. So you have $500,000 you owe, you're recouping at 20%. So that means that you have to recoup 5 times that amount to start making money back. So you have to make $2.5 million back in streams, which is approximately damn near like 500 million streams, something like that. Now, because it's about $400,000 per 100 million streams. Is about. Mm-hmm. So once you what are the numbers is? So then now you've made back your $2.5 million. You've done all those streams. Now you're recouping. Now you're making back your 20%. But they're taking like 5% of your net or something on a distribution fee. So you're only making 15%. And then it's and you're still paying your lawyer and shit out of gross if you signed a lawyer deal, which a lot of people are not because they're dumb, but because it's like lawyers are finessers really in a lot of cases. Yeah. And then you take that 5% off your gross revenues, and then it comes out to it, bro, you're not making shit. And then that's when the label comes in and say, oh, look, because the label, you made back $2.5 million. They already made back their investment on you at $500,000. Mm-hmm. So they're fine. So they go back and they say, okay, we'll give you an advance. We'll give you an advance of $1.5 million to keep you going. That's $1.5 million of your money that you earned that they just stole from you. They're giving back to you. And then now on your next album, now you have to earn back 1.5 times $6 million to recoup. So yeah, don't sign no major label deals, kids. And I'm sure in there's something someone's going to seem like that's wrong or whatever, which it might be, but like the general gist of it is accurate, I think.
Yeah. What did you major in college?
That's so irrelevant, but economics and environmental studies. That was just some, I didn't like, I hated college kind of because I didn't learn anything.
Hey, where'd you go?
Florida State.
Florida State, yeah.
It's very, football.
Yeah, that what you described sounds like an absolute nightmare. Like you start hating music, what you loved it at the beginning, but then you look at people like Russ, who he's like holding his hand over the label, right? When you say,
he's
smart about it, right?
Well, it's really difficult, man, because it's also ways that you can really use a label situation well. Like that's like a really bad scenario. Like that's like the nightmare scenario, what I described. But if you come in with your own team, you have a good manager who's not going to take 20 points on gross. You have good relationships. So you get a lawyer who's not going to take 5% of all your royalties and everything. You figure out a way to maybe pay the lawyer hourly, or you work out some sort of a deal, whatever. So you're not paying a shitload of money. And then maybe you do get like, this royalty rate or whatever, but you take a much lower advance and then you do a shorter term. So now instead of being stuck in this term for 18 months, whatever, with options, whatever it is, now you're just in it for 1 or 2 albums and you're not getting nearly as much money, but you're getting an idea, you're getting a way to build up a foundation and stuff and build those relationships. Cause like the people who work at labels are dope. it's just the infrastructure that so many people are like working within is not very conducive to artists.
Yeah.
So it can be something very useful, especially if you get a good team on you and stuff like that. Like it's not for everybody, but it's also sometimes people need the structure that a label comes with because they don't have all the team assets necessary. So it's not always bad, but it's just something to be like very, very, very careful of and very aware of what things you're giving up and how you're giving them up. Like we had a deal that came through like a couple months ago for one of the guys, and it was awful. And as part of it, for example, they were a record label, but they wanted 5% of publishing, which is publishing is basically the copyright. And that's like a whole different side than the master's ownership. Like the master's ownership is what you get, like your direct streaming royalties from Spotify and whatnot. Publishing is something, like I said, I still don't all the way understand, but it's when people use your music. So it's if it's on Sirius XM, it's if it's on this, that, and the third, it's if people interpolate it, use it in different songs. And you can make a lot of money on publishing. It's where sync, like when you get on TV and stuff like that. And they wanted 5% of that for no reason. They're not a publishing rights organization. They're not a publishing admin company. They don't touch that. They just wanted 5% of it. So it's like, you have to look out for small things like that that tell you what they're really about, you know, because it's definitely like, I won't say you should never sign to a major, but it's like, you should be very careful of working with majors. And if you go in with the right attitude and you get the right situation, it can be incredible, you know, but a lot of times, a lot of people get hoodwinked into signing something they think is going to change their life. And they think they're kind of led to believe that this is the last step and then everything's going to be taken care of and da-da-da, and that's not the case, you know. And then you might get Taylor Swifted after a while where she didn't own her masters and they got sold to a different company. She couldn't do anything about it, you know, and those just aren't hers to own. They don't even have to license them to her, I think. So it's like, that's the thing. Most recording deals, if you look at them, if you make a song, Alex, and I sign you to it, and I say, all right, as part of this deal, I own your master, bro. I'm licensing you your own song. You know, it's pretty wild. So yeah, you want to have control of your masters and license to the labels and stuff like that. And yeah, trying to change the whole game on that stuff. It's not cool.